It is 7 p.m. in the Central Time Zone, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Western. I mean Pacific. And yes, my time zone naming protest continues. But our guests today are from the two other time zones than Bill and I are at. So I had to name all four of them. Luckily, we have our guests from inside the country. Off today is the headmaster of the Chameleon Academy, Bill Strand. He's off in Madagascar. You can catch him on Facebook and Instagram. He's doing all kinds of stuff over there, sending all kinds of pictures to us. This leaves me in control and as your host. So I'm Sean McNeely, as most of you should probably know by now. If you don't, well, now you know. My confirmed guests today are Jason Townsend and Daniel Wethen. Several others have been confirmed and have not been confirmed and may show up. I just have Jason with me. Daniel hasn't shown up yet, but I see he's posting on Facebook. So hopefully he saw my, hey, get on the show thing posts. I think here he comes. All right, let me get him here. Hey, Daniel, is that you?
Hear me over my dogs?
I can hear you. I can hear you pretty well. I think Jason's having a connection problem, but your connection looks very strong. So why don't we? I've just introduced everything and the show, but I have introduced our topic. So our topic for tonight is gut loading our feeder insects. We'll talk more about that. But first, why don't you, Daniel, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what time zone you're from, because I told everyone we're from different time zones. Daniel, are you out there?
Thing.
All right. Neither one of these two have a good connection. All right. Why don't we jump to you, Jason? Is your connection good enough to talk? Unfortunately, I can't hear you either. Okay. So we'll go ahead and give it a little bit of time, see what we can do to get things a little better. Daniel, can you hear me? I hear you.
All right, I can hear you now.
Okay, I hear you now. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right, now I gotta need to keep these dogs quiet, but
oh, that's okay. We have dogs barking here all the time. I got plenty of them, so just talk over them.
Yeah, well. Well, here we are. Can you see me all right? I'm in the backyard. It's a beautiful night out.
Mm-hmm. All right. Can you introduce yourself? Who are you? What are your? How do we know each other? And what time zone are you in? And what kind of pets do you have other than dogs?
Well, I'm Daniel. I'll keep it simple. I used to take care of a lot of pets. Now I just keep a chameleon, my dogs, and take care of horses. I'm here taking care of my mom full time, so it's been a pretty hectic year.
Okay,
but
that's a good
endeavor. I'm a moderator at the Chameleon Academy, and that's really where I like to do most of my studying at.
Okay, that's how we know each other. That's how I talked him into getting on tonight. Jason, are you able to talk? Can we hear you, or can you hear me? I can't hear you, but can you hear? Apparently you can hear me because you started talking when I said to talk. Okay. All right. Well, you keep giving the thumbs up as long as you approve. Jason and I have known each other for a few years. He's also from the Chameleon Enthusiasts. He's in the, he's in the Pacific time zone. Daniel's in the Central time zone. I'm in Eastern, and Bill is in Madagascar tonight, but he's usually in the Pacific time zone. So we got all four covered, although one of us isn't here tonight. All right, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about gut loading, and we'll kind of talk it over. So gut loading, it depends on the feeder. Some feeders you can't gut load. Silkworms, if you gut load them with anything other than the mulberry or the chow, you'll kill them. Flies, I don't know how you gut load them. You can gut load them, but there's not much of a gut on a fly. So, what we're really talking about is what do we feed our crickets? What do we feed our dubia? What do we feed other things that other types of roaches and what have you before we feed our pets? All of us on this show have chameleons. That's what I have most of, but I've got tortoises and iguanas and other things. But nonetheless, secondly, the thing to think about when we're gut loading people, I gut loaded myself this afternoon, and I showed the pictures on the on Facebook. So that was my gut load, but apparently it hasn't worked because my brain's still not in gear. So it really depends on the pet. You need to know what's safe for your pet and what's nutritious for the pet, as well as what the bugs can eat and not eat, like I talked about before. I often use a combination. I think that rotation and a variety, as always, is probably the best thing. I use greens. I use spring mix, collard, dandelion, mustard, turnip, endive. I use vegetables, carrots, green beans, squash, hibiscus, just to name a few. Sometimes I'll use fruits, apples, oranges, prickly pears, papaya, melon. Less frequently, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, bananas, peaches, pears, sweet potatoes, broccoli. Broccoli, very little because it does have it's a goitrogen, even though some of these are spinach as well as a goitrogen. But in small amounts, everything is safe in the sense of all these things I've mentioned. There are commercials preps out there. There's Cricket Crack out there. I don't know. Have either one of you used Cricket Crack before?
No.
Jason's giving us the thumb up and Daniel's saying no. So 50% of it. And I've used it, I think, at some point along the way, but it doesn't, I don't really like it that much. So, and then we add supplements to our gut loads, but I'm not going to talk about supplements tonight because it'd be a whole other show and it would probably run 2 to 3 hours. So, anyways, how do you do these things? You can cut them fresh. If you have a few, let me get a drink here. If you have but a few things to feed, go ahead. Yeah, sure. Daniel, how do you prepare your stuff?
Well, I got everything out here. I could show you really quick how I do a basic gut load for my real chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
I have about a quarter cup of water with really about, I don't know, just a sprinkle of bee pollen in it, and it's dissolved in there. And I just got a food processor.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the spring mix, like you said. It's got a mustard, turnip, and collard greens.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some cut up acorn squash. I've got some carrot.
Mm-hmm.
I've rinsed it all off really good. Made sure that there was nothing else on there.
Yeah, get the pesticides and all that other stuff off there, right?
And you're just gonna fill that thing up with all that good stuff. I mean, I can eat this. This is good stuff right here. Everything about it is good.
Yeah, sometimes I think we feed our bugs better than we feed ourselves.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and put the bee pollen in here. Mm-hmm. Spread it around. It's not a whole lot. It's just really just holds it all together. Because what I'm going to do.
We've talked about this before in the show, but why do you use bee pollen?
What's that?
Why do you use bee pollen?
Well, it's good for the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's full of vitamins. All kinds of different vitamins in it.
And sometimes a lot of the chameleons eat bees in the wild.
Right?
So. Mm-hmm.
So we're left with the mix.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably blend it up just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And simple. Just gonna take an ice tray and I'm gonna fill it up. I'm just gonna fill the ice tray up. And I'm gonna put it in the freezer. I have cubes for the whole week. 2 cubes a day. Yeah, that's 2 weeks worth right there. Took me 5 minutes.
Yep, that's excellent. That actually shows you how to do it right, how to prepare it, how to have it for the rest of the week, and to feed our bugs. Jason, are you able to hear us still, or do you do something similar? You probably can't talk. It doesn't look like you're able to speak. I guess why don't you speak and see if we can hear you? No, unfortunately, I can't hear you. Okay. I guess I could ask you questions and you could say yes or no. We'll play yes or no game. Do you do something similar to Daniel? That's a big yes. Okay. Do you do yours every day, or do you prepare it in advance? Thumbs up if you prepare it in advance, or thumbs down if you do it every day. Okay, so you prepare yours in advance. I have to say that I prepare so much that I have so many things that I actually have to do it almost every day because I'm feeding a large number. It shouldn't probably tell you all that because you'll figure out how much stuff I have and how many crickets I'm feeding and what other things. But nonetheless, that's pretty good. All right. Jason, do you use the same type of things that Daniel's using, spring mix or collards and what have you? All right. Do you add supplements to yours?
I'd like to add that. I mean, you could. This is just a basic. This is just a basic recipe, and there's a lot of other things that are healthy that you can add to this. It doesn't have to be the same every time you make it.
Right. I think, as I mentioned earlier, variety is the spice of life, but it's also important to good health. So, Jason, do you use a variety of different things to do your gut loading? Yes. Okay. Well, I gotta get better at asking yes and no questions here. So
he's been watching Happy Days.
Well, there we go. Oh, there we go. We have a recipe.
I just showed my age.
So bug food recipe: 1 large carrot, 1 orange, 1 apple, blueberries, butternut squash or sweet potato, mustard greens, bean pollen, turnip greens or dandelion greens, and some kind of seed, flaxseed. All right, so that's what Jason does. There we go. We got Jason could type out things and we can see it, huh? All right. I'm not actually looking at the chat because I was doing the thing that tells you that Facebook group's in. So I forgot to look at the chat. So here we go. I'm going to go back to the chat and talk to these people here. So Howard R is saying you guys use Bug Burger, and we said yes, all of us have in the past. How long does bee pollen last? I don't know what the shelf life is. I don't keep it long enough to do it. 4 months? Is that 4 months? Is that what you're saying?
4 to 6 months.
4 to 6
after
months.
You open it. Yeah, 4 to 6 months on bee pollen after you've opened it up.
Right. And that's actually how most things are. Even when medicine, which I practice on the side, or on my regular job, if you open something up, it's only good for 28 days. So, or 3 months if it's powdered or what have you. But nonetheless, we'll get out of that. Let's see what else we could do. So someone is saying that Jason needs to turn his mute off in his settings. Have you looked at your settings, Jason, and figured that out? And I assume he did, but we'll just try. We'll just show him. All right. Stephanie Payne is out there. Someone said Jason's on mute again, but I think it's just his connection because looking at it, I have a 10 out of 10 connection. Daniel's got a 10 out of 10 connection, and Jason has a 0.5 out of 10 connection. So I'm pleased that we can see him, but it'd be better if we could hear him and not see him because then we could communicate and interact a lot easier. But all right, let's see. Hi, guys. Someone on Facebook said, hi, guys. I don't know who that is. Let me do this here. Do the Facebook caption thing. So there, Jason's sideways over there. So so if you're on Facebook, please put your name in there. I'll get rid of this here. All right, go back to the chat. We'll hide that message. All right, let's see. There's no more chats here for what? Social comments display here. Click on them. I don't know what that means. That means I don't know what we got here. I'm going to click on this and see what happens. All right. That doesn't tell us anything extra. Jason left us, so maybe he'll come back and be back in the stream. So, Daniel, what else can you tell us about yourself?
What do you want to know about myself? Well, I'm probably a lot like everybody else in this community. as a kid, I just brought everything home and just enjoyed all the weirder things in life. Like, I've always been into snakes. I really got into desert animals when I lived in California in my teens, I'd say, maybe even before I was a teenager. With the desert iguanas, the chuckwallas, horny toads, sidewinders, stuff like that. And really, I took a break from it all. Had to go to work, and work always gets in the way of the fun stuff. So
that it does.
But I enjoyed doing it, and I worked with a lot of animals, horses, and big old cows, and just tortoises. I've had a few rescued tortoises out where I used to live in the desert. Unfortunately, it was a hot spot for desert tortoise, and people would actually use them for target practice. And
yipes, that's just wrong.
Yeah,
you knew that before I said it, but yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, I find them all the time out there because I live right out there in Hellendale. I don't know if you know where that's out in the Mojave out area, kind of. And yeah, so got a little experience with reptiles, definitely.
Sure. I just want to tell everyone that Two Turtle Tom is here. He was here a couple weeks ago. We talked about tortoises, and he's going to probably be back next week as we talk a little further about tortoises, as well as maybe Daniel and Jason will be joining us. Hopefully, Jason will have a good connection next week. But I blew the surprise. Next week is Tortoise Talk. 2 weeks from now, we're actually going to. Yeah, 2 weeks from now, we're actually going to have someone who breeds sugar gliders on. So we're going to go off the reptile onto sugar gliders, which is another exotic pet, but fun to have. So let me get rid of this. All right. So what kind of dog is that over there?
This beautiful boy right here. He is half. Here, look at the camera, big boy. He's getting old, but he's half German Shepherd, half another like 38% Australian Shepherd, and then he's Labrador Retriever for the rest. He's just he's a good boy. There's no better dog. No better dog.
Well, I have to beg to differ. I've got a Cavachon, which is a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and a Bichon mix. That's an awesome dog as well. Although it's a small dog, it's a lap dog. I've got two of them. They're actually the same age, born of different litters in different areas. But anyways, that's I actually had a bigger dog to start with, and after the stroke, I couldn't manage it, so I went to the smaller dog. So I never thought I'd have smaller dogs, but
your dog is your dog, and that means that's the best dog, right?
Right, exactly. Yep. All right, so Genevieve says sugar glider's interesting, and yeah, I hope it'll be. It should really be. James Cross is here. Welcome, James. And I think Jason is back. Let's see if we can hear him. Jason, you're sideways, but can you hear us?
See, it has a lock on his thing right there. For me, like it's locked.
Well, we'll have to work on the whole connection thing for next week. Anyways, okay. So welcome, James Cross. You just made it. We're talking about bugs and how to feed them and what we feed them about, and we're learning more about Daniel. So, what else can you tell you? What kind of horses do you have, Daniel?
I don't have horses. I just work with them. I'm a horse handler. I work with I haven't for a while, but I've worked with autistic and kids with challenges and stuff like that. At a horse ranch. We did like people that had stress and stuff like that. It's just getting on a horse for those people is kind of therapy, and I was the one that got to walk the horse around.
My daughter is Yeah, my fourth child is disabled severely, and getting on a horse for her, she can't walk or talk for herself, but getting on a horse for her makes her very happy. You can tell. So that horses, animals are great. My dogs are
I
both
definitely love
sets of
doing
my
it.
dogs are both
I
of those. Yeah. So
definitely love doing it.
absolutely.
They're definitely an intimidating animal too.
Mhm. Yeah, horses are much bigger than Cavachon. So
Much safer. Chameleons are much safer.
chameleons are definitely much safer. Let me see if I can get Jason back on here again. Jason, can you hear us or see us? We don't see or hear you. All we see is a little thing. So I'm going to take you off there. All right. Um, okay. So what else can you tell us here today, Daniel? Anything interesting? What can we chat about?
I don't know. Not,
I'm
not
putting you
really.
on the spot, huh?
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot. Last few years, I guess it's been. Uh, I'm from California. I'm actually here in
Mhm.
Texas, so it's been a really kind of an interesting move. I've done a lot of research on insects because
Mhm.
oh man, this place. So when you're here in Texas, you live with the bugs. Okay, they don't
I
live
bet.
with you. You live with them.
That's what I've
Yeah.
been told. I've only
Oh,
been to Texas by the airports, but and stayed in a hotel by the airport. But I hear you.
but when you learn about them and you understand them, I mean they're not all out to get you, but I'll tell you, the mosquitoes are out to get me.
Hmm.
I don't
They're
know.
out to get you. You're
Oh
well
yeah,
loved by the mosquitoes, huh?
I'll be sitting there on the computer. I'll be like, okay, 362. Hey, it's a nice night out. I think I'm gonna go sit out on the porch, and I'll look, and like 2 minutes later, it'll be like 362 mosquitoes have liked your post, and I'll be
Hmm.
like, I'll go outside. They eat me alive, and my girl will be sitting next to me, and they don't touch her. I don't know what it is.
Wow,
So,
that's
but
unfortunate.
anyways,
Well,
yeah. So I did a lot of
here's Jason back here again. Let me see if I can get
yeah.
him
Let's
on
try them
here.
again. Let's put Jason on the
Jason, can you
spot.
hear us?
I've got you. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You're a little
I
delayed,
can
but
hear
I
him
definitely
too.
can hear you. So that's good. Absolutely. Why
Let's
don't you
put him
introduce
on the
yourself?
spot now.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Sean.
Why don't you go ahead and formally introduce yourself since I did it before, and we'll make you talk.
So yeah, I'm Jason Townsend, a moderator on the Chameleon Enthusiasts, which is how I know Sean and both Daniel. Yeah. So I'm in the Utah on the mountain. Outside of that, like Sean said earlier, I think we're pretty well covered across the United States.
What do you do for a living, Jason? I know, but tell everyone else.
In the military.
Mhm.
I'm a crew chief on UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters.
Mhm. Just so you know,
Thank
you're
you
like
thank
delayed
you
a
for your
little bit.
service.
We can hear you a little bit, or at least I can hear you a little bit after you speak. But we'll keep going because we can actually hear you. So, what do you want to tell us about you?
About me, well, I'm a budding reptile after my last deployment where I decided to get the itch to get a chameleon. And it's just now I've got a handful of chameleons here. There's 8 total. It's all the way up to Meller's chameleons. A couple panthers sprinkled in there.
Mhm.
Interested in a ball python, so we've got a ball python. We've got a bearded dragon, crested gecko there for a while. He unfortunately escaped. And
Wow.
his cage door got left open, and I ended up finding him in the kit for the Meller's chameleons Mister.
Oh, yipes.
So he was climbing up the sun. That was
There we go. Cat.
and then yep, like you
Not
guys
an
with dogs.
exotic pet, but still nonetheless.
Got a
Welcome
couple
on
of
the show.
dogs and a cat. So we got a
What's your cat's name there?
this is
Oh, you're breaking out. We didn't hear the cat's name. At least I didn't.
her name is Lola.
Lola. Okay. All right. And you said you had a couple dogs?
We do all around. I'm sure you'll hear her barking eventually. And then
Mhm.
my other little dog is down.
All right. You're starting
His
to
name
break up again.
is
So
me, though. House full of animals, couple kids, military.
Mhm. All right. Well, we appreciate your service in the military. That's important. We need our military. They're very important to us. Daniel's giving you the thumbs up. Everyone can see that, but I don't know if you can. All right. Let's see. Do you use the? Let's see. Do you use those bugs as feeders? What does James mean? Oh, he means probably the mosquitoes that are biting you. That's probably what that was about. Before Daniel was talking about mosquitoes love to bite him. I don't know if you could use those for feeders because they don't really have much nutrition
Maybe
there.
he is asking if I use wild feeders, if any of the bugs that I investigate here, if I use any
Yes.
of them, and the answer is I do. I mean, I'm careful about what I use. It's very important not to just throw anything in there. I do use pollinators like bees and wasps. I do use grasshoppers.
Mm-hmm.
I do use quite a few wild bugs as long as I know what they've been eating. And I live where I live. It's pretty safe from pesticides. So I do take that gamble, but I feel like the benefit is better. So
Yeah, the
that's where
variety
I
is
stand
probably
on it.
more important, and the parasites probably don't know African creatures, so they're not made to to deal with them. And as long as the pesticides aren't in them, then you probably do pretty good. I don't have any
Yeah.
wild bugs right now because it's below freezing here in Cleveland, Ohio. At least, but the last few days it's been in the 40s, but which we think is a warm streak here, but. Nonetheless, it's gotten down today back to things. So let's see here. Let's see. So he said, yes, that's what we do too. We live out in the country in California. James Cross said that as well. Okay, great. Okay. All right. Well, we've hit about 8:30. That's a 30-minute show. That's where we start to think about calling it quits if things aren't getting too exciting or where we aren't in the middle of the conversation. I thank you two gentlemen for coming on. Jason, I appreciate how hard you work to get on and actually get heard. Daniel, I also appreciate you being here. I think maybe both of you are coming back next week to talk about tortoises a little bit. We'll have Turtle Tom. And did I say that right? Yeah, two Turtle Tom. Yeah, okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Tom Arbor on next week as well, and we'll see who else we can get. I thank everyone for being here today. Please like and share and do whatever you need to do for Facebook and for YouTube so that we can keep this show going. I mean, we're going to keep going whether we're liked or not until I get tired of this, and because this is actually also therapeutic for me because I had a stroke back in August, and doing this show is actually something my speech therapist recommended I continue rather than stop. So we're going to keep doing this as long as they keep me on the air and no one, someone will come on and talk to me. But I appreciate you two being here today. And
One more thing.
go ahead. Yeah, Daniel.
One more thing. We all need to tell Shanna, who's probably listening, that Daniel needs more reptiles. All right. That's it. Good night, y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
Everybody needs more reptiles. Jason needs more as well, huh? All right. Have a good night, guys.